Well, that's a good segue into The Patient. This is kind of the sleepier of the two, obviously, main tracks we've talked about so far. But it's melodic and it fits. It's not my favorite track on the record, don't get me wrong, but there are some cool like build up from each piece, and they bring each other. They do this on every song, but they all have their moments to shine. And Tool's always kind of done this, where at least since Lateralus, where one band member has kind of done their thing and been forefront, whether it be Maynard or Adam Jones or Denny Carey, whatever. And then another piece of the song, it'll be another band member, Justin Chancellor, etc. And then they'll kind of all weave those pieces back in together. Yeah. And this song is a great example of that, I think. But it is sleepier. It's a little slower, but I think it's one of their stronger tracks in general in their overall catalog. But it doesn't have quite the bite that The Grudge does.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks on the album, to be honest. I always kind of go back to this one. Sometimes when I want to listen just to a singular Tool track, I'll actually pull this number up because of everything you're saying, like that spotlight on each member, the fact they all come together towards the end. This is probably the song that changed my mind on production on an album, because I was a snotty kid, like, oh, it's overproduced, whatever, thinking I'm punk rock or whatever. To come to an album like this and realizing, okay, it's not overproduction, it's a ton of production, but it's extremely, important and valid on a song like this or an album like this, because without it, it would be a waste. It would be a mistake. So it needs that additional, insight, oversight, whatever you want to call it. And that goes down to everything, down to like the vocal layering on Maynard. Like you can tell there's layering on the vocals, and that would, as a snotty kid, you think, oh, it's overproduced, but you're like, well, it has to be that way. Mm-hmm. How does that translate in concert? Maybe it's a voice track. It doesn't really matter, because it's the full art piece. That's the way it's supposed to come about. It's like a big action movie. It's supposed to be over the top. So,
yeah, I'm with you guys. I think in both fronts. Like this, I'd say it's the top three songs on this album. The build up at the beginning into when Maynard comes in is next level. And I think this is probably top 2 to 3 songs vocally for him on this album when it comes in. And Nate, you made me think of something when I was listening to this, where it's like, Tool isn't a band in the traditional sense. Like, they're not a rock band, they're not a metal band. Like, they're a band of musicians that, to be completely honest with you, they're just a couple degrees away, if they wanted to flip the whole band thing on its head and be like a Blue Man Group and be a Cirque du Soleil, like have it be an all immersive experience, because Maynard's like a maestro. I can almost see it's like an orchestra. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Listen to this album with your eyes closed. Forget everything you know about Tool and just picture it as this all-encompassing experience. I think they could do it.
I completely agree with you, and I thought you might say, before you said Blue Man Group, I thought you might say what I was thinking, and what I'm thinking is they could flip it on its head and be a jam band.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
They could pull that off too. They are so fucking talented musically that they could do really anything that they wanted as a 4-piece. Like, they're just that good, and they ended up going this route, and it has some edge to it and whatever, but they could totally pull off a Cirque du Soleil like theatrical performance. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want it, and that makes sense to me too, but they could totally be Fish. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They have the same level of fandom behind them that would follow them to the ends of the earth no matter what they did. So it's the same idea.
Well, and it's almost unfair to them to lump them in with any genre. Like, you can't call them new metal. Imagine putting them against any new metal band we spoke about last couple weeks.
There aren't many, yeah.
It's just like, it's a whole different world, and it's just unique, and it's a testament to them. It's all positive.
Yeah, I think Cirque du Soleil is a great example, because it's next level. It's, expanding the capabilities of humans, like this is actually how far you can go. Like Tool, and this album in particular, is a clinic for how it's done. If you want to be a drummer, listen to this album as your Bible, and you can probably become a pretty good drummer just based on learning these songs, So I think that's a great comparison, because it's not just a normal play. It's not just a normal, Broadway show. Cirque du Soleil is athleticism on another level, almost beyond Olympic level. It's repeated on a weekly basis. You're going on tour. It's a production. It's a storyline. It's one of a kind, and Tool's one of a kind. There's no
Tool's
other band
absolutely
like
one of a kind. Yep, you're at that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say it. I completely
Yeah.
agree. There is nobody like them. I said that same thing to my wife tonight when listening to this. I was like, I'm putting Tool on. I know you're not a huge fan, but just listen to here. Just listen to here. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like, I see this now. Like, this makes more sense to me because I broke it down on a nerd level, and I was like, nobody else can do this. This is the only band in the world that could fucking pull this off.
Well, I mean, to double down on that, there's not a lot of bands that could cover them in terms of, I know that you're not going to cover Maynard's vocals, but even pull off what they do. But then you get a factor in that they actually wrote that. You know what I mean? So that it's two things going on. Man, we're geeking here, guys. Mantra.
We're only 3